Hey everybody, I'm so glad you could join me today. We're going to have so much fun today. We're going to create a gorgeous Halloween themed necklace, and we're going to be using the beads from the Jesse James Beads Magical Mystery Bead Box for the month of September. The name of the box is Morticia's Garden. Now if you don't have those beads, I will leave a list of all the materials down below, all the sizes, the colors, and everything. Now, if you're not familiar with Jesse James Beads, I'll leave a link down below so you can go check it out. They have some of the most amazing and unusual beads around. Also, don't forget that I'm going to leave some timestamps down below, so if you want to skip forward to any part of the video, you can do so. And I'm so happy because I finally reached 10,000 subscribers today. Thank you so much, everybody, for subscribing to my channel. I make the videos for you because I get a lot of enjoyment out of sharing my knowledge, my technique, my skills, my designs, and whatever other content that I can give you. Now, usually I try to keep my projects easy, but today's project is a little bit on the intermediate side, I would say. If you're a beginner, I do encourage you to try it regardless. Sometimes the things that I think are difficult are really not that difficult. But I will say that this necklace was a tiny bit difficult only because it's made up of a whole bunch of little pieces. But anyway, you'll find out in a few minutes. But anyway, I'm in the mood for Halloween. I have my black on. I have my heavy makeup on. Let me show you. I don't know if I did it right. I used to be able to put on makeup really well, but I'm a little bit out of practice because back when I was performing, I used to do a really good job and I haven't performed in ages. But anyway, guys, I did my best. Okay, that's my cue. Let's go ahead, turn the camera around, and we'll get started with the tutorial. We're going to be using beads from this lovely bead mix. This bead mix is called Morticia's Garden. Let me go ahead and open it up. We're definitely using one of these beautiful hexagon shaped beads. We're going to be using 4 of these wavy spaces. We're going to be using one of these faceted beads, and I don't even know how to describe this one because it's not really a square, it's not a cube, it's more like a pyramid, I would say. But anyway, we're going to be using one of these. And that's all we need from this mix. We're going to be using some beads from this beautiful mix. The mix is called Seance in the Gazebo. And we're actually going to use quite a few of these. We're going to use some of these gorgeous round beads. They're kind of frosted with a swirly pattern on them, as you can see. And we'll need 6 of these. We're going to be using 2 of these beads here. These are so pretty. They're faceted, but the facets are circular, as you can see. But we'll be needing 2 of these. We're definitely using these purple satiny beads. They're kind of metallic, I would say. Metallic or satiny. But we'll use all 4 of them. And we're definitely using these teardrop shaped beads. You're going to need 6 of these. Aren't these gorgeous? I love these. And we're going to use 3 of these gorgeous, I don't know if they're rondelles, but they kind of look like chunky rondelles. And they're not really crystal, but they have crystals embedded on them, as you can see. So anyway, we're going to use 3 of these. And we're definitely using these rondelles, these tiny rondelles. We're going to use 6 of them. And I think that's it from this mix. And we're going to definitely use some of the items from this Flora and Fauna mix. And I couldn't resist this spider. I knew I had to use it. I just think it's so gorgeous. So we're definitely going to use this. And we're going to use 2 of these bead caps. These are the ones that have the swirly pattern on them. So you'll need 2 of these. And we're going to use 4 of these flower spacer beads. And that's it from this mix. We're going to be using the chain reaction that came in the box. And if you're curious, this one is chain reaction number 7, item 6461. As you can see, it's a silver tone, and the crystals have a really pretty purple iris finish on them. We're going to be using some head pins, and I have some thin ones here. These are ball head pins, and I'm going to use these to do some wrap loops. And I also have some regular head pins. You're going to need some jump rings. These are 5mm in size, and they're 20 gauge. In addition to the chain reaction, you're also going to need some simple chain, and this is roller chain, and I believe the links are about 3mm in size. They're not very big. As you can see, I've already attached a lobster claw clasp. We're also going to use some 18 gauge artistic wire, and this is a silver color, as you can see. Alright, so we're going to start with a chain reaction. We're going to do this in steps because there are different parts of the necklace that we need to assemble first. All right, so here's your chain. And as you can see, it's made up of little tiny metal components and crystals that have wrapped loops. So we're going to start by cutting specific lengths and specific components, and we're going to use them to hang dangles, and you'll find out in a few moments how we're going to arrange the whole thing. So we're going to cut two lengths that are going to be identical, and let me show you what we're going to cut. One of the things I try to do when I'm using chain reaction, I try to maximize the use of it. So I don't like to chop it up too much, but unfortunately, sometimes you do have to chop it up whether you like it or not. But we're going to go ahead and start here where the ring is, the jump ring, and we're going to come down two pieces. Okay, so we're going to skip the diamond shape or the rhombus shaped component and this next one, and we're going to cut this link right here. Let me go ahead and do that. So let me show you exactly what we're going to cut. We're going to start here and we're going to count two pieces to the crystal, and then we're going to count an additional 4 pieces. So you'll have a total of 6 metal pieces and 1 crystal, and we're going to cut right here. And this time I'm going to keep this little jump ring and I'm going to cut this loop here on the crystal, and I really don't mind because I can do wrap loops anytime. So that's where I'm going to cut it. Let me show you again so you know exactly where to cut. Okay, I'm keeping the little jump ring right there, and these are soldered jump rings, which is one of the reasons I'm keeping them even though they're small. But you can certainly cut it and add your own jump ring. It's up to you. Okay, so anyway, this is the first piece, and I'm going to cut another one identical to this. So let's take a look now and see where we need to cut it. I'm going to cut it right here. And then I'm going to cut the loop on this crystal right here. So here are my 2 pieces, and they're actually going to go like this. But before we arrange anything, we need to cut some more pieces of chain reaction. I'm going to snip off these 2 metal pieces. I'm going to disconnect these 2 pieces from this large ring. So now we have these 2. As you can see, they're identical. They're going to be attached to these 2 strands like this with jump rings. And now we need 2 additional pieces, and they can be just the pieces themselves without the little jump rings, and you can choose either to have a rhombus shape or a diamond shape or one of these oval shapes. It's up to you. I think I'm going to choose the rhombus shape, so I'm not going to worry about the jump rings. I'm just going to snip them off. So there's one, and there's another one. And I'm going to use these pieces for earrings or some other future project. I'm not going to throw them away. Now the first thing we're going to do is assemble these 2 strands here. Let's go ahead and put these off to the side. So let's go ahead and arrange them this way to make it easier to work with. These are actually going to be connected here like this, and this one's going to be connected here. And I will give you a close-up so you see exactly what I'm doing, okay? You're going to need 4 jump rings, 2 for this one and 2 for this one. Let's go ahead and attach them. Open up the jump ring, connect it to this piece here. And by the way, your jump rings need to fit through these little bits, okay? So your jump rings cannot be any thicker than 20 gauge, otherwise they won't fit through. And you also want to make sure that they're cut very cleanly so that they close well, okay? These metal bits are very thin, and if you have any gap whatsoever, they could slip through. So now we're going to connect it to this strand, and we're going to connect it to this jump ring right here, the one that's right by the crystal. I don't know if you guys can see that clearly. And now just close it up. Like I said before, you have to make sure you close your jump rings really well. So this is what you should have. And now we're going to connect the other jump ring to the other end. Open it up, connect it to this loop like this. And close it up. So this is what you should have so far, okay? And we're going to do the same thing over here. Open up a jump ring, connect it to the loop like this, and then connect it to this jump ring right here and close it up. And now take the other jump ring, open it up, and connect it to this loop here. And close it up. So this is what you should have. Let me give you a close-up. Now we're going to move these out of the way for a moment because we're going to build some charms. And you're going to need the teardrop shaped beads and the tiny rondelles. I'm going to be using some 11/0 seed beads because my ball pens are a little bit on the small side and some of the beads have large holes. But if you have head pens that have heads big enough to fit on your beads, then you may not need to use seed beads. And here are my ball head pens and some seed beads. Alright, so now we're going to grab a head pen, thread on a seed bead, and then one of the teardrop shaped beads, and one of the tiny rondelles. Bring them down like this. And now with your round nose pliers, you're going to grab the pin at the very top of the bead like this. Bend it so you have a 90-degree angle. Switch your pliers around to this side of the pin now, like this. Wrap the pin around your pliers like this. Flip your pliers around. Now if you want to get closer to your beads, you can always turn your wrist a little bit here and then continue to wrap to the back like this. Now we're not going to close it because we're going to be attaching it to the chain reaction. So I'm going to put this down for the time being and I'm going to finish these other 5 and I'll meet you back. Okay, I'm back. As you can see, I have my dangles ready to go, and this just gives you some idea of how I'm going to hang them, okay? And I know you can't see really well because the links are really tiny, but I will give you a close-up. So let's go ahead and attach the first one here, okay? We're going to be attaching it to the very first jump ring right after the diamond shaped component, okay? So right here. So let's go ahead and connect it. We're simply going to thread the jump ring right through like this, okay? And now we're going to close it, and I always like to grab the loop with a set of really skinny pliers, and then with another set take the tail and wrap it around 2 to 3 times. It's up to you how many wraps you want to do. I'm going to do about 2. Once you have your 2 wraps, snip off the excess and then tuck whatever little end you see sticking out. Let me show you what we have so far. Okay, the next one's going to be connected right where this piece is on the other side of that jump ring. Okay, let me show you. Let me put it down on the mat so you can see what I'm talking about. I'm going to be connecting it to this jump ring on that side, the same side where this one is. Grab one of the dangles, slide it through into that loop, just like that. Grab it with a set of skinny pliers, and then with another set, do a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess. And tuck in the little end. Let me show you what we have so far. It's a little difficult to see and a little bit fiddly, but I think you get the idea. Okay, so I'm connecting all of the dangles on that side, but don't stress too much about what side of the jump ring you're going to connect them to, because this chain reaction is very thin and it moves around anyways, so it really doesn't matter. So now we're going to skip this jump ring here and we're going to go to this jump ring here, and that's where we're going to connect the next dangle. Let me pick it up. So let's go ahead and slide it into the loop like this. And once again, grab the little loop and grab the tail and do a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess and tuck the little tail in. Let me arrange it so you can see exactly what we've done here. Okay, and I'll see if I can zoom in to give you a close-up. So now we're going to do the same thing with this strand. Okay, it will be a mirror image of the other one. So take your dangle and you're going to place it on that first jump ring right there. Slip it into the loop like this. Grab the loop and then go ahead and do a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess and tuck in the little end. So now we're going to attach the next one on this jump ring here. Slip it through into the loop like this. Grab the loop and now do a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess, tuck in the little tail. Here's what we have so far. We're going to skip this jump ring and go to the next jump ring. So once again, take your dangle and slip that jump ring into the loop like this. Grab the loop and then do a couple of wraps. Snip off the excess and tuck in the little end. Let me go ahead and lay them down so you can see exactly how this is going to go. It's a little bit fiddly, but that's because the necklace is a little bit on the delicate side and there's really no easy way for me to show you, okay? But this is how it should look, okay? And if yours looks a little bit different, that's okay, as long as it's symmetrical. That's all you want. Once you connect everything, as long as they're symmetrical, it should work out. Now we need to attach 2 jump rings, one on each of the strands, and we need 1 jump ring for the bottom. Let's go ahead and open up one of these jump rings, connect it to this loop here like this, and close it up really well. And now let's go ahead and open up this one. And connect it to this loop here. And close it up. Now before we connect the 2 strands at the bottom with this jump ring, we need to create one more dangle. You're going to need this pretty bead here. This is the one that's pyramid shaped or 3-sided. I really can't tell. It has so many facets I can't tell what shape this is. But it's the one that came in the bead mix Morticia's Garden. Now for this one, I'm going to use a regular head pin, and these head pins are really hard, so I'm just going to do a simple loop. So just slip it through, make sure that it's not going to slide through that hole. And then with some flat nose pliers, you're going to grab it a little bit above the bead, give it a kink so you have a 90-degree angle. Snip off the excess, leaving yourself about 3/8 of an inch, depending on how big you want your loop. And then with a set of round nose pliers, you're going to grab the pin so that it's flush, just like this, and give it a turn. You want to make sure that the loop is closed really well, okay? And now we're going to connect these two strands and this bottom dangle. So grab the jump ring, open it up, hook it onto this loop here at the bottom of this strand, hook on the dangle, and then the other strand like this. And you're going to close up that jump ring really well. So this is what you should have so far. Okay. Now we're going to prepare the spider, which is going to be the focal piece of the necklace. So let's go ahead and move this out of the way. And you will need two of these rhombus shaped components or diamond shaped components. The spider, 4 jump rings, and a 2-inch piece of 18 gauge wire, and one of these lovely crystal beads. Grab your wire, kink it at about 3/8 of an inch, like this. Take your round nose pliers and make a loop, like this. Thread on your bead. And now you're going to kink it at this end, like that. And once again, snip off the excess, leave yourself about 3/8 of an inch. And you're going to form another loop. You want to make sure both loops are lined up. And now you're going to connect the jump rings to the metal components. And before you close the jump ring, connect it to one of the loops of this component. And now you're going to close it up. So this is what you should have. Take another jump ring, open it up, and connect it to the same loop, and connect the other piece to the jump ring, like this, and close up the jump ring. So this is what you should have. Now if you'll notice, this loop needs to be turned. Okay, so we're going to take it, grab this loop here, and then take your pliers and turn this loop so it's perpendicular. Open it up, attach the spider, and close it up. And this is what it should look like. Okay? And now we're going to attach these 2 jump rings to these loops here. So open it up, connect it to the loop like this, and close it up. Same thing with this one. And connect it to the other loop like this, and close it up. So this is what you should have so far. So let me go ahead and arrange this and put it in place before we start threading everything. As you can see, I've arranged everything and I'm ready to assemble the bottom part of the necklace. You're going to need your 18 gauge wire and you're going to cut yourself a piece that's about 6 inches long. Now you do want to straighten it out a little bit. You don't want it too curved because if it's too curved, it won't fit through this bead right here, okay? And that's one of the reasons I'm not using 16 gauge. 16 gauge will not fit through the whole of this bead right here. The first thing you need to do is form a loop at the end, and you need to remember where on your pliers you're going to be forming that loop, okay? Because both loops need to be identical at both ends, all right? So just try to remember that. And I'm just going to do a simple loop. You want to make sure that it's nice and closed. Okay, so there's my loop. And now we're going to thread on this jump ring here, this strand, and then a purple bead, and then one of these flower beads, one of these silver beads or gray beads, another flower bead, a purple bead. This is what we have so far. And now one of these wavy spacer beads, one of these crystals, another wavy spacer bead. So this is what we have so far. Now you need to move them down to the end because we're going to thread on this piece here. It's a little tricky. Just like that. And now we're going to thread on one of the components that are attached to the spider. Like that. I know it's a little hard to see, but hopefully you can get an idea of what we're doing. And now a bead cap. And now this crystal. The other bead cap. Let me just show you what we have so far. And now we're going to thread this other strand attached to the spider. Like this. And now this strand here, this piece of chain reaction, like this. And now one of the wavy spaces, this crystal, another wavy spacer, a purple bead, a flower bead, one of these gray ones, another flower spacer, a purple bead, and then the other strand, like this. Let me move these out of the way so you can get a better look. So this is what it should look like. Isn't that cute? So once you've done that, move everything down and then go ahead and finish it off at this end by forming a loop. So I'm going to cut off the excess, making sure that I give myself enough wire to make that loop. And then of course you want to make sure that your loops are facing the same direction, which mine are. Now you can adjust the curve of this wire if you need to, okay? But this is what you should have. Isn't that adorable? It's so cute. Okay, so now that we've finished this bottom part of the necklace, now we're going to do a couple of components and attach the chain. And you're going to need your 18 gauge wire, and you're going to cut yourself 6 pieces. Each piece can be between 1.5 and 2 inches, depending on how advanced you are. If you're a beginner, I recommend that you cut yourself 2-inch pieces. If you're advanced, you probably could get away with less. Here are my 6 pieces. And we're just going to do some simple loops. So you want to grab it at the top of the pin at about 3/8 of an inch down, give it a kink, and then form a loop. Thread on one of the beads. Grab the pin, line up the bottom loop, give it another kink, snip off the excess, and form a loop. Make sure your loop is nice and straight and closed. And then you definitely want to make sure both loops are lined up. And I'm going to do the same to these other 5 beads. So I'm going to do it off camera and I'll meet you back. Okay, I'm back and I have my components built, as you can see. Now before we go any further, I wanted to measure this piece for you. With the curve, it's about 4 1/4 inches long. I'm pretty sure that if you were to straighten it out, it's about 5 inches long. Okay, so obviously the more of a curve you have, the shorter it is. And that's personal preference. And this will determine how much chain you need to add. Of course, it depends on how long you want your necklace. But before we add the chain, we're going to connect these components. Very simply, we're going to open up one of these loops. Connect it to this loop here. Close it up. And now we're going to connect one of these crystal beads. And close it up. And now one of these gray beads. And close it up. So that's what you should have at this end. And now I'm going to do the same thing on this end and I'll meet you back. Okay, I'm back and I've connected this side, as you can see. So now the next step is to take this to the mirror, hold it up to my chest, because I need to figure out how long I want the necklace to be, and that'll determine how much chain I need to add. So let me go ahead and do that and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back and I ended up curving this piece a little bit more so it would fit me better. And I also cut myself 2 3-inch pieces of chain, and I've already attached one. As you can see, it has a jump ring on the end, and now I'm going to attach this one. So we're simply going to open up this loop, attach the chain just like that, and close it up. And as you can see, I already have a lobster claw clasp attached. And that's it, guys. And if you were giving it away or selling it, you could always attach an extended chain. But this is it, guys. Isn't it pretty? I love these colors. They're so pretty. I love the chain reaction too, because it looks a little bit like a web. How do you like my little friend here? I think he's attracted to this beautiful bejeweled spider. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Let me go ahead and put this on and show you what it looks like. Well, what do you think? Isn't it cute? Let me show you. Isn't it adorable? I love this design. I like it because it's colorful. It's a statement necklace, but it's delicate at the same time. And one of the best things about this design is that you can adjust the wire piece to fit your frame. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed today's tutorial. I hope you did too. Thanks again, and I will see you next time. Bye.